Hi, I am here to inform teens about the use of heroin. My goal is to inform about what it is, how it is used, and the dangers of using it. According to Time.com, the website states that heroin use in the United States has reached epidemic levels. Heroin use has increased 63% in the last 11 years, and heroin-related overdose deaths have nearly quadrupled in the same time period. Heroin use in the United States has skyrocketed, spreading to include groups who previously were less likely to abuse the drug. While heroin use continues to be most common among men ages 18 through 25 who make less than $20,000 annually, the CDC researchers note that in recent years, people in every demographic group are using the drug more often. Heroin use has doubled among women and non-Hispanic whites. Heroin affected my family about a year ago. My son's girlfriend's dad overdosed. He had been clean for 6 years previous and had a stressful life event, turned to heroin. He used the dose that he was previously using 6 years ago, which is quite a bit, and he overdosed and died. So the knowledge has really helped my son, his girlfriend, and our family deal with the grieving process. Knowledge about heroin, I believe, is very crucial to every age and demographic in the United States. So what is heroin? Heroin, according to the drugabuse.gov, states that heroin is a highly addictive drug synthesized from morphine, which is obtained from opium poppy plants. Heroin is a downer or a depressant that affects the brain's pleasure system and interferes with the brain's ability to perceive pain. In its purest form, heroin is usually a fine white powder. More often it is found to be rose gray, brown, or even black. The coloring comes from additives which have been used to dilute the drug. It can include sugar, caffeine, or other substances. According to drugfreeworld.org, sometimes heroin is cut with strychnine or other poisons. The various additives do not fully dissolve when injected into the body, which can lead to clogging of the blood vessels that lead to the lungs, kidneys, or brain. This itself can lead to infection or destruction of vital organs. A spike in overdose deaths in 2014 is believed to be linked to heroin laced with a powerful painkiller, fentanyl. How is heroin used? Heroin can be injected, inhaled by sniffing or snorting, or smoked. All three routes of administration deliver the drug to the brain very rapidly. According to drugabuse.gov, these methods pose health risks and increase risk for addiction, which chronic relapsing of the disease caused by changes in the brain and characterized by uncontrollable drug seeking, no matter what the consequence is. Immediate short-term effects of heroin include, but not are limited to, some of these listed. Once heroin enters the brain, it is converted to morphine and binds rapidly to the opioid receptors. Heroin users report a surge of pleasure, sensation, or a rush. According to drugabuse.gov, the intensity of the rush is a function of how much drug is taken and how rapidly the drug enters the brain and binds with those opioid receptors. With heroin, the rush is usually accompanied by a warm flushing of the skin, dry mouth, and a heavy feeling of the extremities, which then can be accompanied by nausea, vomiting, and severe itching of the skin. After those initial effects, users usually will feel drowsy for several hours, their mental function is clouded, their heart function slows, breathing is also significantly slowed. Slowed breathing can lead to coma or even brain damage. Some of the long-term effects are listed here also. It's no matter how the heroin is ingested, chronic heroin users experience a variety of medical complications that can become very extensive and severe. According to drugabuse.gov, repeated heroin abuse changes the physical structure and physiology of the brain, creating long-term imbalances in neural and hormonal systems that are not easily reversed. Medical consequences include addiction, infectious diseases such as HIV and hepatitis B and C from shared needle use, collapsed veins, bacterial infections of the blood vessels and the heart valves, abscesses and other soft skin tissue damage. Many of the additives found in street heroin include substances that do not readily dissolve and result in clogging of the blood vessels that lead to the lungs, liver, kidney, and or the brain. That can cause infection or even death of the cells of these vital organs. Immune reactions to these or other contaminants may cause arthritis or other rheumatologic problems. Sharing of injection equipment or fluids can lead to some of the most severe consequences of heroin, which are hepatitis B, C, and HIV. And other blood-borne viruses known are the most serious. According to WebMD, if you use heroin often, your body builds a tolerance to it. That does not mean it will not harm you. It just means that you need more to receive the same high and your body starts to depend on the drug. This is characterized by the need to continue the drug to avoid withdrawal symptoms. Some statistics state, according to drugabuse.gov, heroin is no longer solely just in urban areas. Several suburban and rural communities report increasing amounts of heroin use, as well as increasing number of overdose deaths. As mentioned in the usnews.com, heroin use has skyrocketed in the United States and is hitting young adults the hardest. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says that non-Hispanic whites age 18 through 25 years old and people living in large metropolitan areas are most risk for heroin addiction, which occurs and covers the whole United States. Heroin addiction spans all ages, races, genders, incomes, insurance statuses, and locations. Individuals have reported switching to heroin because it is cheaper and easier to obtain than getting a prescription opioid from their doctor. As cited from U.S. News, the average user of heroin has changed drastically in the last decade. In 2000, Black Americans aged 45 through 64 were the highest death rate for the drug poisoning involving heroin. Now, whites aged 18 through 44 have the highest rate. Heroin has taken hold of the white suburbs, which has prompted more attention for what is now being called a health problem. The heroin epidemic is hitting young adults more than any other age group. The use among Americans aged 18 through 25 increased 109% from 2002 to 2004 and 2011 to 2013. For Americans 26 years and older, it has increased 58%. Abuse has increased most drastically in the Midwest. Early drug use has shown to increase a person's chance of developing an addiction. If we can prevent young people from experimenting with drugs with the use of education, we can prevent drug addiction. Teens still developing judgment and decision-making skills may limit their ability to assess the risks of use of all forms of drugs. When research-based substance use prevention programs are properly implemented by schools and communities, use of illegal drugs is reduced. Such programs help teachers, parents, and healthcare professionals shape youth's perception about the risks of drug substance abuse, according to drugabuse.gov. By acting now with educating our population, we can start reducing the heroin use in the United States. Thank you.